Okay, now what we have done, we have opened up a .cr2 image in Camera Raw. We went over some of the panels, not all of them. We'll do that in a later movie where we'll go more in depth what Camera Raw can do for you. But for now, we went ahead and opened up the image. Then we went ahead and combined the image to an untitled document that was already opened up in Photoshop. It asked us if we wanted to go ahead and uh, change the profile that was embedded to a different profile, and we selected OK. Now, in some cases, because it didn't ask you, you wanted to go ahead and change it or keep it, you might not be entirely happy with the option that you have. So you can always go back to edit and assign the profile to it by going to edit, assign profile, and here will give you a warning, which is going to go ahead and avoid that and press OK. And what I want you to do though is look at the image, because we're going to go ahead and select sRGB. And what I want to point out is that the image shifts colors. The greens are a lot more muted. The dress is not as colorful. So let's go back to Adobe 98, and there you see the difference in color again. So we're going to keep it in Adobe 98 because that is actually what you want it as, and we're going to go ahead and discuss now the toolbars. Uh, they're divided into parts. The very first part has to do with selection. The second part has to do with retouching. Then you have vectors and smart objects that you can go ahead and put onto an image, and the last part is 3D. And then you got your color picker right here. And so what we're going to do is go over each one and describe certain things you can do with them. The first thing is the move tool. The move tool, once you select it, you can actually move a layer inside a document. Now, I haven't really gone over what layers are. We will in the future, but for now, this is what the move tool does. There's an option that you can have selected on the move tool. It's show transform controls. Basically, this gives you the option for free transform. That's one way of getting to it. The other way would be edit and free transform tool. Either way, make sure that when you select the move tool, this is check mark. It'll make it easier for you to get to the free transform tool. Once you get there, you have your free transform options. What you can do here is you can go ahead and alter certain aspects, like the width. Notice it goes by percentage, and now the image has been shrunk down on the width. If you were to go ahead and press this button right here that's a link, you can go ahead and link both the width and the height, so you can maintain the aspect ratio. Now, if you don't have this button pressed, you can also hold on the shift, and it should go ahead and also keep the same aspect ratio. Let's go ahead and undo that selection. The other thing is that I want to point out is when you do have the free transform tool, the very first option that you have right here basically does your pivot point. So you go ahead and press the top right hand corner, the pivot point moves to the top left hand corner, and it will actually pivot from there. That's good if you want to go ahead and get the correct angle of an image that you just can't go ahead and do when you have it at a center point. So very helpful. We'll go ahead and again unselect that and talk about the other options that you have. Basically, this one works with angles. You can go ahead and select that and use your scroll wheel to go ahead and select different angles, so you can go ahead and rotate the image. Once you do that, just press OK to accept that. We're not going to accept that. The other thing is that when you do have the free transform tool, if you right click anywhere in the image, you get the options here to scale, rotate, skew, distort, and warp, and perspective. I like warp tool. You get this cross grid, and this allows you to go ahead and warp the image using the cross grid. Very interesting. On a side note, if you're to use the rectangular marquee tool, what you can do is select a certain portion of an image, like so, and once you select that, you can go ahead and go back to the move tool, and once you go to the move tool, you can go ahead and right click, and once you have the free transform tool on, select warp, and you can go ahead and warp the selection. And so let's go on to the rectangular marquee. Notice that it is on fixed ratio and we have it 4 by 6. Basically what that means, I'm going to press Control D to deselect, and whenever you do a selection with fixed ratio, doesn't matter what size it is, it's going to be a 4 by 6 or whatever ratio that you go ahead and put it on. If you go to normal, it can be any size, any height, any width. Um, but if you notice on the middle, you have refined edge. Now, any toolbar that deals with selection will go ahead and give you refined edge. Um, I think that you really don't need one in elliptical or rectangular. I'm sorry, but elliptical. You may need it to go ahead and do vignettes. It's very interesting. One of the things I want to point out, if you go ahead and hold down the shift and you go ahead and you either use the elliptical or you use the rectangular, it will give you either a perfect square or a perfect circle. If you go ahead and hold down the space bar while holding all those down, you can actually move the selection around to go ahead and position it correctly. Very, very interesting. The next thing I want to go ahead and talk about is the lasso tool. This is just if you just want to go ahead and highlight something right away. You got the rectangular, the lasso tool, and then you got the polygonal lasso tool where it works with clicking on certain things, so you can go ahead and do selections based on that. And all you have to do is just meet the starting point with the end point, so you can go ahead and close your selection. The quick selection tool works in detecting edges and it creates its selections based on that. So if you can see, we're going ahead and doing a selection of the subject, and if you did not get everything that you wanted to go ahead and select, like here I'm missing part of her hair, you can go ahead and go over it one more time and it should go ahead and get to that point. Now, if in case you did do the mistake, like I'm going to do one on purpose right here, and you have more green than you would want, you can go ahead and press shift and alt, and that gives you a little minus, and you can just drag down and it should go ahead and cut that selection. Just make sure that this selection right here gets shrunk down, that way it's not bothering you. So once we do that, at this point we can go ahead and talk a little bit about the refining edge. It's what it is to help you see how your selection that you did will go ahead and look when you go ahead and overlap it on another image. And as you can see here, it's kind of jagged. So we'll go ahead and choose smooth out, and this goes ahead and rounds out the selection that you have made. So once that takes into effect, notice right here in this little area, it has a little bit more than we want. So we can go ahead and select shift edge, and that should go ahead and take care of that problem. There's other options because this does actually look different from CS4. We'll go ahead and describe the differences on refine edge, but those are the two options that I use most than anything else. So I'll go ahead and press OK, and I'll select that. Now, once you have your selection, you can do a lot of things with your selections. You can use your adjustments panels to go ahead and alter the selection, or you can just press Ctrl J and do a copy of the selection on a different layer. And so if you look here, I closed down the original file, and she's still there in this file, but here I'm gonna just zoom out a little bit just so you can see when I use the move tool, the only thing that's there is the selection on there. So again, very interesting, but we'll go ahead and discuss the cropping tool and the quick healing brush or the spot healing brush tool in the next movie.